Hello people. This is going to be a video about Gary, who's known as InMendham and DoNotGod on YouTube. Before I start, let me preface this by saying that despite his plethora of character flaws, I actually tend to agree with Gary on a lot of the things he says, mostly when it comes to his political standpoints. So this isn't intended to be an all-around fuck InMendham video, but regardless it'll most likely result in him blocking me, which of course is his choice. What I want to discuss is Gary's misuse of the DMCA and his justification of it, which I can simply describe as
stupid.
Recently, Rosebush made a video regarding Gary's filing of a DMCA claim against someone named Seventh Cycle. In it, he outlined certain considerations a judge would make when determining if a derivative work falls under the protection of fair use. I left a comment on that video stating that Gary seems to think fair use pertains to whether the material was used to make an argument fairly. Lo and behold, Gary then came out with a video stating exactly that.
I mean, the DMCA does open the door. As soon as you start fucking with somebody else's content, you are fucking with it, people. Don't claim you're not fucking with it. You're not treating it fairly. One of you, explain to me how it is fair use if you are manipulating it. I mean, that's not exactly how I can construct the word fair to mean. Fair means that you give it equal standing, equal integrity, that you treat it like you would treat yourself, kind of a thing, right? I mean, that's what fairness is. Fairness is basically, how would I treat myself in an argument?
While this argument is just cute as a button, it's utterly ridiculous for several reasons. Firstly, fair use is a protection against copyright infringement claims, and so the heart of the matter is the spirit of copyright law. Copyright law exists only to protect the profitability of intellectual property. The idea behind this is that intellectual and artistic creations benefit society as a whole, and if creators aren't able to profit from their work, the intellectual progress of society will be hindered. If every time an author writes a book it's republished by a dozen other publishing companies who don't share the revenue, that author will probably stop writing. Copyright law is in place to make sure people make money. It's not meant to protect the integrity of an argument or enforce intellectual honesty on the internet. Fair use allows people to use parts of copyrighted works to create new products, as long as it doesn't hurt the profitability of the original work. The word fair here has nothing to do with how a person or an argument is represented. When a film critic on television shows clips of a movie in order to critique it, the studio can't sue him and argue, "You took those clips out of context. You didn't maintain the integrity of the movie as a whole. That's not fair." If that were the case, you would never see negative movie reviews because they would always result in copyright claims. Gary actually states that cutting up a video out of context isn't fair use, and a person should have to feature the work in full so that the integrity is maintained.
And as soon as you start fucking with their content, you're building stilts. You're cheating in the game. And you can't deny that. Because you're not just playing their video and responding to it. You're perverting the argument. You're changing the atmosphere of the argument. And you're doing it by diminishing the other guy.
This illustrates his total misunderstanding of copyright and fair use. If I did an online movie review by playing the entire film and then talking about it afterward, or pausing it at every scene to give my opinion, that would be a blatant copyright violation. Again, the reason for that is money. People could just watch my review instead of paying the filmmakers to see the movie. The bottom line is, since profitability doesn't factor into Gary's DMCA claims, they're bogus from the start. His attempt at redefining the term fair use, as if fair refers to conduct in a schoolyard game of capture the flag, is silly to say the least. Picking apart the name of the clause to completely reinterpret its purpose is completely illegitimate. But Gary's motto is, "We'll see what a judge has to say, fucker," as he disregards the letter of the law and legal precedent to test whatever argument he feels he can feasibly sell. This attitude has rightfully led people to label him litigious. Of course, while Gary finds his own reinvention acceptable, when other people engage in the exact same conduct it puts him into a rage.
It's these other fucktards, these other brainwashed cult members, who have done the same thing to, the First Amendment says I can do anything I want to do ever. And they're just as culty, aren't they? I mean, the cult of the First Amendment, which means I can fuck with you any way I want to fuck with you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I can heckle, I can graffiti, I can do anything the fuck I want. That's their definition of the First Amendment. It means they can go out into the street and take a shit right in the middle of the street, and that's their First Amendment right. That's their free expression. I mean, it's just such a pile of shit.
Some reinterpret the First Amendment to justify vandalism, and Gary reinterprets fair use to justify filing DMCA claims. They're both invalid, and they're both perversions of the intent of the law. I'm sorry, Gary, but your opinion regarding whether your content has been used to fairly represent your arguments has nothing to do with fair use. I suggest reading into copyright law and the fair use doctrine before filing more claims. That, and not your personal conceptualization, is the law you actually have to follow. Attempting to redefine legal terms using dictionary definitions is absurd. You tell people not to cheat while playing the game? Filing a DMCA claim on a YouTube user without a legitimate commercial grievance simply because you don't like a video is the real cheating in this game. Stop doing it. Thanks for watching, everyone.